it's Kara here from Boho Berry, and I'm excited to be here with you today as I am every Friday. Today is my April Plan With Me video, and it's going to be a little bit of a different format than usual because I already set up for April. And the reason that I already did that in advance is because it's actually the same exact setup as March. Now, I know what you're thinking. I actually mentioned in my last post that I have a few changes coming up in April, and that is still 100% true, but my initial setup for the month is actually the same as it was in March. So what I'm going to do is just a quick little flip through of March so far for you so you can see what's been going on in my bullet journal. I'm going to show you how I've set up April, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about some changes that I have coming up for my bullet journal, which if you follow me on Instagram, you probably already know that I've been reading GTD, or Getting Things Done, by David Allen. And I actually have a copy of the book right here. This book is incredible. It was actually recommended to me by Brian over at Goulet Pens, and I read through it. Actually, I listened to the audio version first, and then I just had to pick up a copy so that I could scribble in the margins and make notes and see all the lists and things along those lines. But basically, GTD is just a system of organizing and planning out projects, future tasks, things that you have coming up in your life. And while reading through the book, I really saw so many correlations between what I'm already doing and what this book teaches. I also found quite a few new ways that I wanted to implement it into my bullet journal. So I will actually have a whole blog post and video up for you next week about how I am kind of combining these two methods to work for me, and I definitely look forward to sharing that with you then. All right, so before we dive in to the downward view, I kind of wanted to address the elephant in the room, which is the fact that I cut all my hair off. I know that to a lot of you it's probably a pretty big shock, but I just wanted everyone to rest assured that this is something I've done before. It's just something I felt like doing. I was ready for a little change in my hairstyle, and when you have the sides of your head and the back of your head already shaved, when it's time for a change, pretty much the only thing you're left with is shaving all your hair off and starting fresh. So that's what I did. I really, really like it. I know it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but I just thought I would address it. There's no crazy reason for me cutting my hair off or anything. I just felt like it, and I like it, and the upkeep is great. But anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and get down to the downward view, and I'll give you a little flip through. All right, so here we are, and this is my March setup that you'll probably remember from last month's Plan With Me video. And I just wanted to show you everything kind of in use and how things work throughout the month. And here you'll see my March log, which of course is not complete. Today is actually Monday the 21st, so I have quite a bit of time left here in the month, but I'm actually going to be traveling for the next week, so I wanted to go ahead and film this a little early. So you're going to see March a little incomplete. I apologize for that, but I didn't want to leave you hanging on the April video. Anyway, so I've got my log here, and as you can see, I just kind of log little bits of things that happen throughout the day. I also use the traditional bullet journal method and write in any events that are coming up. So I know that I'm traveling for the next week, so I've got that marked out there. All of my different travels and things along those lines get marked in there as well. All right, then I have my tasks and goals list for the month, and I do have a few marked off that I've already completed, and then my goals list is not complete yet because the month is not yet over. Then we have my Plan With Me challenge prompts, my Rock Your Handwriting challenge prompts, which we will have new prompts for the month of April for both of these challenges will be out next week on the blog, so stay tuned for that. And then I've got my March memories. I have yet to finish filling this out. I have a few other things that I want to add in here. And then I've got my March tracker, and you can see that I've got this all filled out and in progress. And then I've got my gratitude log for the month of March, and I just log a couple of things each day that I'm grateful for in here.
And this is one idea that I got from Kim over at Tiny Ray of Sunshine, and it's probably one of my favorite spreads in my bullet journal each month. I just love logging my gratitude, and I love looking back at it and seeing all the things that I have to be grateful for throughout the months. All right, and here we are on my first weekly spread for the month of March. And I'm really loving these weekly spreads. They're really helping to keep me on task and kind of be able to see at a glance what appointments and what things I have to do on specific days each week. And then I have kind of a master task list over here on the right-hand side, which I really, really love to refer to when I'm creating my dailies every day. And then we just jump right into dailies. I've definitely been having fun doing different headers each day of the week, so that's been a blast. I also did something I don't normally do, and I took notes directly into my bullet journal. So the next few pages you're gonna see my chicken scratch when I'm actually writing quickly and don't really care about what my handwriting looks like. But these are all notes that I took during Lisa Jacobs' Creative Live class when I joined her there in San Francisco at the beginning of the month. So I've got lots of notes on all of that, even more notes. And then I start again with some daily pages. Here on this spread, I decided to kind of sketch out a few different banners and arrows, different fun things as kind of ideas for sketch notes. And a lot of these I took some pretty heavy inspiration from the revision guide on Instagram, and I'll put a link to the revision guide so you can check them out. They actually have super cool how to draw banners and doodles and borders and things along those lines. So I saw that on there and I just had to unleash my creativity a little bit and get to doodling. So I have this whole spread that is nothing but doodles basically. And then I've got more daily pages, and I made a little list of everywhere that I went when I was in San Francisco, so I can always remember that. And I plan on putting some sort of little sketch or doodle down here at the bottom. I'm not sure what yet, that's why it's still blank, but I want it to be kind of special to kind of commemorate my time in San Francisco. And then I have more daily pages. I had a lot of fun drawing this little guy right here when we set the clocks forward here in America for spring forward on the 12th. So I drew that in, that was kind of fun. And then we've got another weekly spread, and this past weekend I started kind of implementing GTD, so that's what this all was about, which again I will have a lot more information for you in the future. And then another daily, and this is actually something from the GTD Getting Things Done book, and it is the organization workflow. So I'm going to have a lot more information about this, but I copied it down into my bullet journal because I wanted to always have this for reference when planning out how I'm going to implement GTD. And then I have also a little checklist here of things that I need or that I need to put in place in order to fully implement GTD into my life. Also with this book, I'll definitely put a link down in the description box below if you want to check it out. It's a great book. I also highly recommend the Audible version. It's actually read and narrated by David Allen himself. That's the author, and I just love it. I love his whole system, and listening to the book first was really helpful for me. It's something that I do a lot. I'll listen to an Audible book, and then if I love the book, I'll go ahead and buy the paper copy as well so that I can kind of scribble and write down in the margins little notes and things along those lines. But I highly recommend the audio version. It's narrated by the author. Good stuff. So I'll put a link for that in the show notes below as well. And then we have more daily pages here, and you've actually seen these spreads in my most recent video on Monday. I was doing a video all about migration and how I handle migration in my bullet journal. So if you haven't seen that, definitely check that out. I will also link that for you. Then we've got more daily pages. This was just a little list I jotted down from somewhere online. It's about the perfect job interview. I'm going to be interviewing hopefully a couple of different people to possibly be an assistant for me in the near future. So I was kind of doing a little research on what are good questions to ask and things along those lines. And then here we have my current weekly spread with all of my tasks and appointments for the week. And then we move on to today. And after that, I just left a few blank pages kind of to go through the rest of the month. And then we move on to April. So you'll see a lot of correlations here. I set up April the exact same way that I set up March. And so I have my April log here, and these are some of the events that are going on in April. I am going to be in Atlanta the weekend of the 15th, 16th, and 17th for the Atlanta Pen Show. So any of my fountain pen people out there, if you're going to be there and you see a fun looking girl with a shaved head running around, definitely come up and say hi. I'd love to meet and greet some people while I'm there as well. Then this is my tasks and goals list, which will be filled out at the end of March. And then, as always, I have space for the Plan With Me challenge and the Rock Your Handwriting challenge. Again, those prompts will be coming next week. I've got a spot for my April memories, and I've got my April tracker here. On the April tracker, I am tracking the same exact things that I was last month. And then I have a new quote down here at the bottom. Let me slide this around here for you. And the quote says, "Don't think about what can happen in a month. Don't think about what can happen in a year. Just focus on the 24 hours in front of you and do what you can to get closer to where you want to be." So I thought that was a very fitting quote for a tracker where I'm tracking things that I do every day. After that, I have my gratitude log, and I kind of changed it up a little bit this month. I don't know if this really counts as changing it up, but what I did is I just kind of changed the title. Instead of calling it a gratitude log, I just wrote, "I am grateful, ... and then I'll fill in everything that I'm grateful for throughout the month. And then I have a little Tony Robbins quote down here. It says, "Change your expectations into appreciation and the world changes instantly." Then after that, we'll just continue on. I'll have my first weekly spread for April, and we will continue on from there. So that is it. That's all I have for you all today. I really appreciate you kind of bearing with me with this new format this month. I will go back to kind of letting you watch me set everything up in May, because I will have quite a few changes going on there, I hope, from implementing GTD. And I definitely can't wait to share all those changes with you very, very soon. I hope that you all have a great and wonderful weekend, and I will look forward to seeing you on Monday. Bye!